Well, Natasha Don, we're live for the news review on
Yeah.
this Friday the 13th, actually. Friday the
Is it?
13th.
Oh
Yes.
my
Did you not
God. I'm
realize?
glad I didn't know that because I've just been down a really steep hill
Oh, well, okay, you're very
in my
welcome. I'm glad I
wellies.
told you. I'm glad I told you after. Yeah, you look like you have your salopettes on, suitable for
I've
this
still
weather.
got my salopettes on. It was raining this morning, and obviously I'm glued to this situation in Queenborough.
Of
So
course.
I'm kind of still in the bad weather. But down in the Algarve, it's getting sunny.
Right. Okay. Well, I was going to ask you, what can you tell us first and foremost about the weather prognosis? We have been promised some better weather, have we not? But it's still not over yet, is it? This
It's not
stormy
over
weather.
yet for Queenborough and all those places up in the. I mean, for me,
Central
everything
and
is in the
north.
north, but it's the north
Yes.
and the centre. But it's
Yeah.
places like Coimbra, Montemoro Novo, Sor. It's all that basin with the Mondego River and a few other tributaries. And they are in dire straits today. They may get what they call a 100-year flood, meaning it's one of those floods that every now and again they get. I mean, the last one they're talking about, funnily enough, is 2019 when they had a major flood, but it wasn't as bad as this. This is relentless. This is,
Nobody can remember anything like this, can they? I was just speaking this
mm,
morning to somebody who was born in Coimbra,
yeah,
educated there, lives in Miranda de Corvo nearby, and no one can remember it being. I mean, they know flooding. They do know
yeah,
flooding. They know, subsidence and
yeah.
landslides, of course, because of the topography, but nothing of this scale that
But you
you're
know what?
reporting on at the
I
moment.
keep thinking that there's something about this time and this flood that suggests that we're building in the wrong places. Because you see, these floods have always happened.
Yeah.
And this one is particularly, and we all love to say, oh, it's all climate change, it's all climate change, that's the problem. But I've got this feeling it's probably that we're building or that we are doing something in the wrong areas. We're not being
Planning
intelligent enough. You've
badly.
got too many people now, and we're
Yeah.
putting too much strain on nature. I mean, if you think that the part of the motorway, again, not a natural structure at all, the motorway part that broke had been built right over the dike
Yes.
that ruptured. And I don't know about you, but if you look at some of the photographs of the roads that have sort of exploded and lurched to one side and cracked, if you look
Yes.
at them, the covering of tarmac before you
It look.
get to them,
Yes.
I mean, it's pathetic.
It's like an orange peel, isn't it? Yes.
Exactly. So it looks
Yes.
to me like this is a combination of poor planning, greediness, obviously, and botched jobs.
Wow.
And
Okay.
that's
Yes.
botched jobs is like, we're in Portugal. Botched jobs in Portugal, they go hand in hand.
Oh, okay.
So we're not exactly known as a nation of builders. You know,
Right. You mean to
it's
a
a
to of a
nation of
certain
leaking
of a
roofs
certain
and
quality.
mold. So no, I think it's more. I know that we're all saying, "Oh, this is climate change," and it's all because we've got a gas oven. It's not.
Okay, sorry. It's all because you've got a gas oven. Okay, so are you a climate change skeptic? Does that mean?
Yes, I think I am. Yeah, I
Right.
am.
Okay.
I
So
mean,
it's
honestly,
overplayed.
I'm totally against polluting the oceans, and I'm totally against all sorts of things that they say is very important for the digital or the what is it called, the green transition. We've got
Yes.
to destroy large areas of the country in order to plaster
Preserve
fields
nature.
and landscapes in solar panels. No, I'm totally against all that. I don't think that is the way to go at all. I don't
Yes.
think we should be mining precious areas that have survived and given the most incredible, living to families and
Community.
communities for generations. I don't think we should be destroying them just to get a little bit of lithium out of the earth, because it's not going to be the answer. So I'm very against that, but I'm not somebody who's saying, oh, we must do all this because the climate is changing and we've got to stop using fossil fuels and all of that. No, I'm not there at all. I don't agree with this narrative.
And your analysis is different as we look at your reporting here in the Resident about Coimbra preparing to evacuate 9,000 people.
I know.
It's a different kind of, and it's easy. It'll be lazy journalism to call this a perfect storm. it's an imperfect storm, but it is a convergence of other factors that you've just mentioned to us there, of shoddiness and bad planning that's being tested by this relentless weather. And now we're poised on a situation like this, where 9,000 people in a Portuguese city may need to be evacuated, and this decision is expected any moment now, isn't it?
It should be coming basically in the next hour. They said the decisions would start being made between 8 and 9 today, but I think the meeting actually wasn't until 9, because these people have been up probably most nights since the end of January. I mean, this particular mayor is amazing.
Isn't she just?
She is pretty fantastic. And she was worrying about flooding in Coimbra on January the 29th, when she was having meetings and trying to get everybody sort of aware that it was on the cards. So she's been working towards this absolutely step by step.
Incredible. Well, she's a candidate, of course. I mean, there are so many other things that in other times we would be talking about. There's been a presidential result since we last spoke in this slot, and this, of course, is overshadowing that. And we've had the resignation of the rather scared-looking, ineffective lady, and Mayor Anna. Well, she's gone now, though, hasn't she?
Yeah, but I love the way she said that people had to understand that the work of a minister in her capacity, a lot of it had to be done in the situation of invisibility. And then she just disappeared altogether. So I thought she was lovely. I mean, she made me laugh because she looked so startled all the time.
Didn't she just?
Huh?
She absolutely did. It didn't breed confidence. You know, you want a minister to turn up who's rolling their sleeves up, don't you, and saying, right, well, you know, let's get stuck in here. What's going on? This is what we need to do. She wasn't that kind of person. Well, she wasn't an aide.
She looked like somebody had said to her, you know, you wouldn't mind being Minister of Interior Administration. She was like, oh, and she looked like that for the rest of the time.
Never quite recovered from it. However, our lady here, Mayor Anna Abrunhosa from Coimbra, would be a good candidate for this role, being tried and tested as she is right as we speak.
Well, she's already been a Minister of Territorial Cohesion with the Socialists. And she's fantastic. I remember when she was Minister of Territorial Cohesion, she was one of those really rather exceptional socialists that managed to get everyone together rather than piss everyone off. Do you know what I mean?
Circular firing squad.
She's a really good woman.
Right. Okay. Well, she's about to make a decision. Let's talk. So we will return to the presidential result, of course, because I think your prophetic capabilities were proven correct again. Although it was a fairly easy one.
That was given. I mean, funnily enough, again, when you're talking about socialists, this new president is a moderate, and he also may have the capacity to bring people together, which is what we need.
It's what we need.
Yeah, we do. And you know what? I keep thinking, wouldn't it be better, rather than having these two rather inadequate traditional parties, the PSD, who are basically running the government, and the PS that aren't, but would like to be because they used to. I think instead of having them always, you know, either one or the other, there are times when it would be good to get the best out of both parties and get them working for the country.
There's a radical idea.
It's not really. I mean, it's not something that anybody would want. But if I was a moderate president, I think I would be trying to get people, the intelligent ones, because there aren't that many of them, to get the intelligent ones together and say, come on, guys, let's do a bit like the Secretary General of the PS said, let's do it's not a task force. He called it something else, some sort of body that would be there to respond, for instance, in these kind of emergencies. And I think that needs to be a cross-party thing. But instead of having all these, you know, cloth caps shouting and screaming at each other, people, just get the intelligent ones.
That would be a true coalition of power.
Coalition of the intelligent.
Indeed. Okay. Right, we'll come back to Coimbra, because it is actually, you know, that's a live story, and you're keeping an eye on that for us as we speak this morning. And let's dwell then on Segura right now. And it was me, I suppose, that was getting a bit worked up about that and thinking, this idea that, oh no, it could never happen here, and the upsets we've seen elsewhere in the world, that didn't happen in Portugal. Safety was sought in the figure of Seguro, who is now in his transitionary handover.
You mean it didn't happen that Ventura got in?
Correct.
Well, yes. He could, you know what? To be honest, he didn't want to be president.
No, that's right. That's right.
He wants to be prime minister. Secondly, he's so he's criticizing that. He would be chaotic, and he knows that. Everyone knows that. He'd be chaotic as a president. He's good to have in Parliament because he does say some very relevant things. But he also says some very silly things. So, you know, we don't need on top of everything else, a country that's falling apart, roads that are buckling, bad planning. We don't need a president that really doesn't know what he's going to say from one minute to the next.
Yes, except just be angry all the time and causing other people to be angry. That's not what we're looking for in this role that this gentleman here is going into, and the transition has begun. It's a steady process where it's not like one in, one out with their cardboard boxes. This is Marcelo will be in an ongoing relationship to transition into this role smoothly. Antonio José Seguro, an absolutely resounding win, the most votes ever, I think. Right?
Yeah, incredible. Incredible. When you think that people were up against it with the weather and everything else, you'd have thought that there would have been, you know, normal, quite high abstention, but it was actually relatively low abstention. It was like 50%. But we many times have much more than that.
Yes. Now you made mention there of a good, stable pair of hands in this role. I think you're alluding to what the country has coming in the pipeline. We've got to get over this as an emergency, but there is so much to clear up, clean up, and repair. This is something that I'm not aware of anyone talking about. There has been mention of a €4 billion bill to clean things up.
No, it wasn't quite like that. What it was that the Prime Minister said about a week ago that the damages up till now, he reckoned, had got to 4 billion. But that doesn't mean that they're still there. They might be much more, particularly after this thing in Coimbra. But what he did say yesterday, he went to Alcácer, which is still being flooded, poor town. This is the trouble with these floods. They just go on and on and on. And he said that what they're doing, his government is coming up with, is he called it a PTRR, as opposed to a PRR or PRR, which was the Plan for Recovery and Resilience. This government is going to come up with a PT, Portuguese Recovery and Resilience Plan. So it's going to be, I think it's going to be very interesting, because what it has to do is get rid of all those plans of, we're going to be doing this and doing that road and blah, 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 new things. They've just got to go back and fix things. It's going to be a completely different outlook, because I think a lot of projects that have been announced won't go forwards certainly in this legislature, which in some cases could be good, because there's lots of projects that have got a lot of communities really riled up. So
repair and consolidation rather than progressive and sometimes meaningless development for the sake of it, because of funds flooding in from elsewhere. Exactly. Where's the money coming from, Natasha?
It's coming. They're going to I think I heard the Minister of Environment say they're going to go back, look at the various funds they've got: cohesion, environmental, and PRR. They're going to look at those three funds, see what's left, and kind of calibrate and say, okay, we're not going to do this, but we're going to do that. We're not going to, and so they're going to use the money in that way.
Fair enough.
I guess there'll be other ways of doing it, and they might. I have no idea. To be honest, it's not the sort of thing that I would even.
These are unimaginable sums, aren't they? I'm sure even the people who pretend to know what they're talking about don't really know. When you're dealing with this sort of scale.
I'm always getting millions and billions mixed up, and there's a huge difference between them.
Hell yes, for sure. Yeah. Well, okay, we shall see on that. On a similar note, we can have a look at the Portugal's. I know we have to be introspective at the moment. We have to deal with the emergency, but some are already beginning to look at how the global perception might be affected with what's going on. Minister here, Minister of State and Foreign Affairs, you wrote about him, quizzed at Porto Heltel Congress. Portugal's climate woes won't affect country's image abroad. Do you agree?
Oh, what a load of rubbish, he said. Did you go down? No, but go down. Of course, he's right. Nobody's going to take any notice. But go down to the bottom of the story.
Yes.
I think the second paragraph to the last, and he says something like, "Well, of course, if we got over this trouble, which of course we haven't, but if we had, it would show that we were going somewhere." I mean, it was just nothing what he said. It was just waffle.
Well, maybe he was caught out. Maybe he wasn't expecting to be talking about this at the particular event.
Exactly.
He was
but no, I mean, obviously, everyone is going to want to go on holiday if they still got the money, if the planes are still flying, if there hasn't been another geopolitical, disaster and missiles aren't flying in every direction. People who come on holiday, they love it. And, we
love this culture. We know that people love to come on holiday here. So as far as you're concerned, that won't be affected going forward, notwithstanding other influences, of course, that affect every other country. That's the point, isn't it? And I think and perhaps you could say, in this regard, sometimes Portugal is ahead of the curve, sometimes it's behind it. With this one, in dealing with extreme weather, however it's been caused, we are at the front of this curve, aren't we, for the rest of Europe, in how to deal with devastating weather. And I think the world might be looking at Portugal from that point of view, of the clear up, the cost, and the impact of extreme weather on a country and its economy.
Maybe. I don't know, because I mean, remember something like this happened in Spain. Do you remember in Valencia? Was it last year? And then things like this happen in Holland. Do you remember? A load of people got swept away in their deck chairs or something. I mean, no, I think it happens everywhere. But in this, I mean, for instance, I speak to my mother nearly every night, because she's 100 years old. She's not 100, she's 90, but she's old. So I always ring her to make sure she's still alive, basically. And like a lot of old people, they do have the news on.
Yes.
And so she's always talking about the news. But she was surprised. She said, "Oh, I haven't heard anything about Portugal." So it's not like the news of our disasters is not being massively discussed abroad.
Well, and the news agenda has so many incoming and fast changing influences, not least
it's the still cluttered up with other stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So perhaps we won't get a look in on that, and my suggestion, it will not come true. That people won't be looking at Portugal except to enjoy a holiday here sometime in the future.
That's what we'll have. People think Portugal's a great place for a holiday. It might be a great place to live particularly if you live in America. There's lots of people being lured to Portugal because America's not very nice at the moment.
Not what it once was. Okay, I'd have to disagree with Natasha, says Solar Life Portugal here. Look at the last coalition government in the UK. It allowed the stupid to take control with Brexit. You don't have to answer that, but I think you were looking at the best that can come from a coalition rather than the worst, I think was the point there, wasn't it? It's let the best
minds. I'm not trying to get the stupid to take control. No, I'm trying a coalition with the intelligent. The thing is that the president, this president that we've got is highly, he's going to be intelligent. He's a university professor. He's very moderate. He's very measured, and he's also obviously very determined, because he got to being president when the party that he came from didn't even really want to support him. So he's a determined man, although he's very moderate.
Yes. Okay. Any news on your TV there about Coimbra? We're looking at this live.
No, it's still the same thing. It's still saying it's being prepared for a possible evacuation. So there's been no decision yet.
Right. And what are your general impressions about what's going on in Coimbra? That's where the action has shifted. We started in Leiria, of course, didn't it, as the worst hit, and the Atlantic front took quite a bashing from the worst of the first storm, Kristin. Then we went to Leonardo and Marta, and now we've got Niels. Coimbra really is the place that's struggling.
Oriana now.
Yes, Oriana is the next one, but I think giving us a wide berth, hopefully, and so the better
this was Oriana, what we've got now. I think Niels was a river of rain or something, and he just blew through and almost disappeared the minute he arrived. And Oriana was hitting last night.
Okay, with more heavy wind and rain.
She's bringing with her a kind of reset.
Okay.
So we're going to get the Azores anticyclone back in the right place, and that will give us lovely weather, blue skies, and cold.
So it's going to be cooler because of less cloud, as you might expect at this time of the year, but some beautiful sunny spells. We're all hoping and praying for such weather, which we really miss right now.
Well, I know the birds have got the message already, because when I was out today,
yes, I've noticed
normally
that.
when I'm out, the birds are all like under their, they're all a bit like, in the Disney cartoon when it rains, in the Disney films, they're all under their
together
things,
and looking sad.
But today they were all singing. They were so happy. So they know something's happening.
Good. Okay, let's take the message from the wildlife and the nature. Yes, the birds there. If we go to Conspiracy Corner now, we can take a look at some reporting from colleague Michael Brujo. Parliament poised to raise social media age limit to 16. This looks like a bit of a sort of copycat move.
It is.
And I think you said before, haven't you, just Portugal just falls into line with other things that are going around the world. Is that what you see here?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's like, let's quickly do something that makes us look like we're catching up with the rest of the world. Oh yeah, let's do this. But the thing is that the problem with Portugal is it says all these marvelous things. So it said the other day, for instance, there were quite a lot of discussions about children are not allowed to bring mobile phones into school of a certain, I think under the age of 6.
Good luck with that.
Yes, and I thought, well, how are they going to enforce this? And I think this is the same thing. It'll be social media age limit can be raised, and no one's going to take a ha'porth of notice of it. I can't imagine.
Right. Okay. Well, this is the story. PSD bill would require parental consent for 13 to 16-year-olds and block under 13s from opening accounts. I'm not sure if they've decided which ones. That's the devil truly will be in the detail of this.
Exactly.
And those who view everything from a somewhat through a conspiratorial lens, it's not so much about the under 16s. It's about everyone else who has to prove they're over 16, and the concern about digital privacy. And what that means for everybody else, not just the kids, who you could argue, you might want to protect them from some of the worst influences of the internet and some of the things they might see there. But I mean, I get knowing we've all been under 16, and whenever we've wanted to look at something for over 16s, or when we were under 18 and we wanted to do things for over 18s, we found a way, did we not?
We always did it. Exactly. I know. In fact, the more rules you put, the more we're going to do it.
Yes.
So the children will just find ways of doing it. They'll get, I don't know, they'll get their elder cousins or friends or even people at the bus stop to help them.
Will be. Yes, just in the way that we asked elders to go and buy us cigarettes or alcohol. Not that we endorse that sort of behavior, of course, Natasha, but you would stand outside an off license, wouldn't you, and ask an irresponsible adult or the oldest person in your gang to go inside.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll see the digital equivalent of that perhaps with this.
I think exactly. You'll see apps popping up that help you and probably age you.
Yes. Oh, okay. You hadn't thought of that. What do you think more generally of the Portuguese government and our digital privacy security? Do you think that the government here does enough to make sure we're safe and secure? I mean, they've got all our data anyway. This is a country with ID cards. You have to carry an ID card. It's not exactly a preoccupation for digital freedom here in Portugal, is it necessarily?
No, I think the thing about the government is that, I mean, it's not really doing... It's got so much else to do. But I mean, for instance, when it comes to corruption, which is one of the biggest problems of this country, just the other day, there was I think it's called Transparency International. It produces its sort of corruption perceptions index. And we just keep falling further down in the list. Okay. So we got to the worst score we've ever had. And the Ministry of Justice said, oh, well, obviously this was all based on incorrect data because we're doing so much. And so since then, Transparency International Portugal has said, no, you're not. You're just full of baloney. And that's the thing. I just think that it's all words and it's just what they call a word salad,
Yes, PR. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they're just blowing their own trumpets, but it's not.
Well, who else will? Yeah. Okay. Well, let's that's
a good way of putting it.
And finally, then something you brought to my attention. Quite honestly, it seems like weeks ago, but things are moving so fast. You can have a conversation 2 days ago, which does seem like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
You thought it was a bit curious, did you not, that the armed forces held their own press conference? I found
that so weird. It was just a really weird evening where the armed forces held a press conference, which is something that the commentators said they had never done before. And on the same day, the former admiral who didn't make it to being president,
Sour grapes,
Enrico Viemel, he wrote a blistering critique of the government's handling of the climate emergency that we're going through at the moment, and of the minister that's since, she resigned on the same day of his article.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking, where is this going and what is this all about? The military were obviously trying to say exactly why it was that they had only been brought in dribs and drabs at the very beginning of Storm Kristin. And what they were basically saying is this is the way it works, and we weren't asked in time, because obviously it was a failing of the government.
Yes.
And this will all come out.
Themselves.
Yes, this will all come out in a debate that keeps being delayed because of the bad weather. So everything's happening in a sort of very disjointed way. It should have all happened seamlessly, that the army gave this press conference imagining that the debate in which they would be criticised was happening the next day. But then because of the bad weather, the debate's now been bumped over to next week, I think Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
And so by then we'll have forgotten that the army held a press conference, and it'll be less odd. But there's still this question, is Gov but with all his criticism and his expertise, because he's obviously a very capable man and he kept things together in the Navy for a long time.
And the pandemic, he spearheaded the campaign, the pandemic vaccination.
He did, because that was put in the hands of, in the initial time of a socialist who made a marvelous mess, getting all his friends and his chums vaccinated first. So now the big question is Gov Viemel, because he's now free, because he didn't make it to being president, is he going to take a role in maybe becoming the Minister of Internal Administration? He was asked this on air after his article came out in Publico, and he said that he wasn't interested at all. But, who knows? Because nobody ever really says what they mean anymore.
In politics, certainly, yes. I guess you're just sort of venturing an idea just to see, like, it's a plume of smoke, isn't it, to see what happens on the horizon, see how people respond.
So that's the sort of next interesting thing. But I think the really... Well, today the big thing is Coimbra, and now I'm on the wrong channel, I realise. So now I've got people jumping about in ridiculous costumes. The big thing is
that happens, doesn't it? At one moment you're looking at the really up to the moment news coverage, and the next thing you know,
we've got an idiot jumping about in costumes.
Yes.
You don't know why they do it. No, but the big thing is what's going to happen there. But then I think the next really important thing is, what is this rebuilding plan? Yeah. How are we going to do it? What projects won't be undertaken?
Yes.
Because most people will be praying that a lot of these really horrendous so-called environmental transition.
Yes, the Sophia project. Yeah, absolutely. That might not happen.
Well,
and do you know what occurred to me as well with this, Natasha, on this topic? Is some things will be abandoned as well, won't they? We won't have the luxury of having perhaps a tarmac road to the top of a hill in the middle of nowhere in Portugal that we may have become used to. That might just be abandoned. We will have to prioritize, won't we?
Yeah, but maybe we didn't need it anyway. And it was sometimes these roads, you find these amazing roads and you think, well, what was that all about? Why did they do that road there?
Yes.
Yes. So, there might be more thought going into things.
And things being abandoned. Certainly an incredible amount of reprioritization will follow this situation that we're in at the moment. And we're not out of it yet. I mean, you're making that point. All eyes on Coimbra at the moment. That's really where...
Well, it's a whole area, isn't it? Because after Coimbra, it goes down to all these poor places that have been, surrounded by water for a week, over a week.
Well, we need to point out Coimbra. You can imagine it is a city, which it is, but it's also a district. That often happens with in Portugal. You'll get the city and the district of the same name. All eyes on the district of Coimbra and the Mondego flooding at the moment, and we send those people there who are poised to be evacuated our very best wishes and hope that passes, and that we do move on to this better weather for the weekend.
Oh, we will.
On this Friday the 13th. Thank you, Natasha. We'll see you again next week. Well, I suspect things will have moved on again at an alarming pace which we're becoming used to. This is the new normal of news, isn't it?
Exactly. It's the new normal. Keep on your toes and don't look back.
Excellent. Thank you very much indeed.
Okay.
If you'd like to comment in the chat, please do so. And we'll see you again next week. Bye for now.
Okay. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.